My recent video about Daniel Radcliffe's attempts to speak German has raised a few interesting questions. If you haven't yet seen that video, click here if you have annotations enabled, otherwise you'll find a link in the video description. Okay? Cool. Now, when I translated the German word Besteck, I said that it was cutlery or, for Americans, flatware. I did this in part because a lot of you, my viewers, are actually Germans trying to learn English, and so whenever the script allows, which isn't very often, I like to give a few alternatives. But it turns out that there are quite a few Americans who've never even heard of flatware. A few call it silverware, but it seems that cutlery is very well understood in America, so that's good. I've learned something useful, so thank you for your comments. There was a word that I couldn't positively identify. I said it was probably Teufel, but I'd never heard a German actually use it in that way. And sure enough, one German said that sometimes he did. I suggested that what might have been intended was Pfui Deibel, and was then asked if instead of Deibel I shouldn't have said Deibel or Deifel. Well, all of those are actually perfectly legitimate, and to a phoneticist they're all very closely related to each other and to the word Teufel. In fact, you can almost think of them as being different ways of pronouncing the same thing. They're also all very closely related to the English word devil. Now, to the person who traced the word devil back to a Proto-Indo-European word meaning angel, I looked it up and I'm afraid I'm going to have to disappoint you. It comes from the Greek word diabolos, which means slanderer or accuser, and that is a direct translation of the Hebrew Satan, who is the prosecutor in the heavenly court in which God is the presiding judge. However, one of you, and thank you so much for this, suggested that it might have been a word that I'd never even heard of, Teufel, which means fool or idiot. This is listed in the German Standard Dictionary Duden as a rural expression, which is basically Duden's way of saying that it only appears in certain dialects. Duden also has a long list of suggested synonyms, so take your pick. Remember, you can always send me a postcard at this address. You can also find me elsewhere on the web. Visit Rewboss.com to find out how.